now we're going to be introducing our second last group of presenters, which are from Pearson College. They will be presenting on climate action and social justice. All three of them are pioneer students in the first cohort of the Climate Action Leadership Diploma that's happening at Pearson College. We have Fawz from Iraq, Rézi from Hungary and Finland, and Charlie from the UK.
Hello. So we are three second-year students from Pearson College UWC. We're located on the unceded territory of the Shianu-Bichu First Nations with the mission statement of uniting people, nations, and cultures for peace and a sustainable future. And we are part of the pioneer Climate Action Leadership Diploma program. And we're here to talk to you about the importance of climate action and social justice.
Hello. I'm going to be highlighting the importance of addressing climate change and what climate justice is. So we all know that climate change is a critical issue that demands our immediate attention, but it goes beyond just environmental problems affecting our society, politics, and economy. So tackling this issue, tackling this challenge requires unified and through efforts from all of us. Now, what climate justice highlights is that unequal impacts of climate change, especially on vulnerable communities. It stresses the ethical obligations to address climate issues with a focus on fairness and inclusivity, calling for solutions that addresses both environmental challenges and social and economic inequities. Environmental ethics is essential in shaping how we approach climate change. This explores the moral relationship between humans and the environment, urging us to consider the ethical implications of our actions on the planet for future generations. It provides a framework for understanding our responsibility to preserve the environment, emphasizing the interconnectedness of ecosystems and the inherent value of biodiversity. Embracing climate justice and environmental ethics in decision-making fosters solutions that addresses climate change impacts while advancing for a fair and sustainable world. This collective effort is vital for a habitable planet, making the fight against climate change our defining challenge.
So as the Climate Action Leadership Diploma, we examine and study the issue of climate justice from a multitude of different perspectives and backgrounds which kind of influence the way that we think and interact with the issue of climate change. So there's 14 members in the pioneer cohort, and we all come from different socio-political contexts, different backgrounds, and they shape the way that we view climate change and climate justice. So we acknowledge that there's no kind of single means through which we can, through which we can kind of like secure a just and sustainable future for us all without using and incorporating or simply just understanding the theory of a combination of action. So this would be like top-down and then bottom-up action. So I'll go through that. So top-down action is literally from the top down. So it encompasses working towards systemic level changes, which is driven by policy and national and international directives. And these approaches have the potential to create kind of like widespread and immediate change when applied effectively. So as a cohort, we examine hypothetical ways that top-down action can be implemented. For example, we're currently trained to be climate ambassadors of the En-ROADS online simulator, which provides policymakers and educators and businesses and just the general public with the ability to explore policies that could be implemented to bring the global average down to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is in accordance to the Paris Climate Agreement. And then we have bottom-up approaches, which is again literally from the bottom up, so it's the opposite to top-down. And this influences policy through behavior. So we recognize that individual actions can have huge and wide-scale and lasting impacts when adopted by large numbers of people. And so bottom-up approaches involve political advocacy and direct action, which Charlie will expand on later. And grassroots organizations are a form of bottom-up action. So grassroots literally means the level of organization working, like the most basic level of an organization that's working in egalitarian and horizontal power structures to achieve a common goal. And there are various ways in which we study the formation and effectiveness of movements, such as these in our Climate Action Leadership Diploma. So for example, we had an environmental economics unit, and we adopted an economic anthropological viewpoint of studying kind of like and conceptualizing new ways of existing or previous alternative ways of existing. And then in the same unit, we did a movements assignment, which was kind of an in-depth case study and analysis of how movements are formed and how we can construct our own social and political movement with a common goal, or as we like to call it, a basis of solidarity.
Cool, so I'm going to be speaking about what we're calling the pillars of collective action in CAL, so for the framework of the Climate Action Leadership Diploma and the mission statement of the United World Colleges. We kind of work in line to become active citizens within the climate justice sphere based on the pedagogy and like the ideology of our founder, Kurt, who wanted all students of the United World Colleges to become change makers. So the way that we're applying these is through three main areas of our work. We're focusing on political advocacy, nonviolent direct action and civil disobedience, and then service learning and grassroots sustainable action. So in the first, with political advocacy, we've been working with key stakeholders in the region and politicians to platform our views and kind of to understand the way in which the democratic and the political processes here work so we can make legislative change. And then through this, we've gained the skills of facilitation and working with political leaders at all different levels, ranging from like municipalities and local government all the way up to federal and provincial government. However, we also recognise there's kind of a double entendre in climate action where we can't always just work solely within the realms of policy, and that we can also utilise our other rights within the democratic system, such as the freedom of assembly and the right to protest, to be able to platform our views, because we can't always make change by reforming the system from within, because this is how the system is set up to work. We must work externally to apply pressure inwards as well. And this is something that the west coast of Canada, and particularly the island, is really well versed in. We have a long and deep-rooted history in this part of the country and in this part of the continent, through the Clarecurt Sound actions, through the Ferry Creek blockades, through protests that happened consecutively, reacting to different kind of global events outside of the legislature and in Vancouver as well. And we've been lucky enough to be able to engage in these movements through our connections and through the community that we've made around Pearson College with people active in these movements as well. And then this has kind of created a space where we've been able to share tactics in direct action and be able to have a space for peer learning, where those of us who have been engaged in direct action before are able to engage again here and then be able to kind of broaden our community and learn further from the Indigenous land defenders that have been working on Turtle Island since time immemorial for environmental stewardship. And then we've also achieved certificates from the BC Civil Liberties Association in legal rights at protest, so we're able to kind of legal observe and be active in the space without directly protesting as well, supporting other people to be able to platform their views and not just having us at the forefront of kind of the movement, because this isn't necessarily our space to engage in directly. And then our third and final pillar is service learning and grassroots sustainable action. So for most of us, this culminated in a week that we spent in the unprotected Command of Woolbran. I'll change to the next slide so you can see some pictures, where we participated in conservation work, building boardwalks to protect tree roots of the old growth, this being one of the last remaining old growth groves on the island and in this part of the continent, and also partaking in the identification of endangered lichen and fungi species, and then building a connection with the land on the unceded Pachida territory. We also partake in action around our campus and in our local community of Machosin, removing invasive species, and then also through the IB program of CAS, we've partaken in CAS activities that relate directly to service, and also taken this back into our home communities through our extended home service program at Pearson College, with an example of this being Fawz, who worked in an urban greenhouse in Baghdad to investigate the feasibility of creating a local food system in Iraq, given the increasing globalization of agribusiness and the unattainability of healthy and sustainable food choices for people in her community. So yeah, that brings us to the end of our presentation. We hope that we've given you a bit of an insight into the way that we work at Pearson College and in the Climate Action Leadership Diploma, and an additional perspective on how we can use democracy to achieve climate justice and save the environment. Thank you.